The 26th of August 2019 was my first official practice with the Calvin swimming team. The very first day, we already started off with double sessions, with practice at 6 a.m. and then lift and practice again at 1 p.m. Funny story, this is actually the first time in my entire life where I had 2 practices in a day, and the first time in my entire life where I had a practice earlier than 7 a.m. Naturally, I wasn't used to getting up that early and would always arrive late. And obviously as a freshman, let's say that the seniors weren't too amused about my punctuality. Anyways, I had a computer science class at 2 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So my practices then were pushed back to 11 a.m. I trained by myself for the first couple of weeks, and that's when Nathan Adrian showed up and started training with me too at that time. Yeah, Nathan, Adrian, and me in the same pool together training. And safe to say, I spent more time looking at him swim than actually focusing on my own swimming. My first collegiate swimming competition was the 20th of September 2019, and it was a King of the Pool meet where every one of the swimmers on our team would swim the hundreds of each stroke and the 100 IM at the very end with like about 5 to 10 minutes of rest in between. The person that had the fastest combined time was crowned King of the Pool. Going into the meet, I was really nervous, but I was also excited to show off as a new freshman that I was, even though no one really cared about the results and everyone was there just to have a good time. But as I walk in super motivated with my headphones on, I mistook the pool cover as solid floor and fell right into the pool, backpack, clothes, headphones, and all, and my teammate had to drag me out of the pool. Dying of embarrassment, I took my clothes off and let them dry in the sun while I got ready to warm up. So that wasn't a great start to my collegiate swimming at all. Before college, I used to only swim short course meters or long course meters, and this was the first time racing in short course yards. And here are my results. They're not good, but at the time I was getting used to the yards, and I also placed, I think, top 10 or top 15 out of the team. We were like 30, so in my books, that was a definite win, especially given how the competition started. Fast forward 3 months and many ass-whooping practices by literally every single person on the team. I went to my first invitational the 4th of December, the Minnesota Invitational. That was my first suited race of my collegiate season, and I remember being very tired from the intense practices we've had over the upcoming months. Here are the results of the race. It was my first time experiencing an actual semi-important meet at college, and I just had to say I was really excited just being part of the meet and being able to experience the noise and the energy from the crowd. I've never experienced anything like that, and it was super cool. I was excited to continue swimming on for the rest of my, 4 years at college. In the following few months, we had a couple more dual meets against Stanford, San Diego, and Arizona. Between March 4th and March 7th, 2020, I went to my first Pac-12 championships, my most important competition of the season. At this point, I really started to feel the effect of 7 months of training, and after having rested for a while, I was in the best shape I ever was. I made 2 consolation finals in the 50 free and the 100 free, and I came second in the B final in the 100 breaststroke. I was far off from making the NCAA team, but as a freshman, I could feel myself improving a lot over the next 3 years. At that point, I hadn't decided that I was going to graduate in 3 years yet. You guys already kind of know what happened in March 2020. Yeah, that's right, COVID happened. I went back home to Spain shortly after Pac-12 championships finished, in case there was going to be a lockdown, and effectively so, there was a lockdown, especially in Spain too, where I was stuck in my room for the upcoming 2 or 3 months. I tried to stay in shape by doing YouTube workouts like practically everyone else in the world, and I didn't get into the water until June that year, after having not swam for around 3 months. I trained for a bit in my club until August, and that's when my sophomore season came up. Given that the whole COVID situation was still going on, and the pool availability here in the States was unreliable, whereas in Spain I had a place to train, I decided to go home for the semester. I had a couple of competitions in Spain over the course of November and December, one in short course meters and one in long course meters. And I have to say they went pretty alright, nothing special. I felt like I have lost a lot of the momentum of the training from my freshman year. But then again, we were going through a whole ass pandemic, so I'm grateful to be able to at least swim, given that people were struggling to survive. I flew back to Berkeley the 24th of January 2021, and 2 weeks later I tested positive for COVID, ending my collegiate season right there. This was a huge blow to my morale and motivation in swimming, and it completely ruined any momentum I had left from my freshman year. After spending 1 week at that hotel where I made my famous COVID vlogs, I felt like I had started from the beginning all over again. I continued to swim with the team as they trained for Pac-12 and NCAA championships, but it was hard to continue swimming as there was no competition in the near future that I could prepare for. I went back home to swim the Spanish National Championships and Olympics qualifying championship, but it didn't really go too well. Fast forward to June, I had an internship throughout these 3 months, so I was able to train here over the summer. I couldn't swim any competitions over the summer because of my job, but I continued to train hard and I gained a lot of the momentum I had lost. After the summer, I received my full-time offer, and that solidified my decision of graduating in 3 years. I really wanted to end my collegiate season on a high note, and especially after a pretty disappointed previous season, I was ready to give swimming everything I had left. So senior year started, and it followed a pretty similar schedule to that of my freshman year. Starting off with the King of the Pool competition, except this time I didn't fall into the water with my clothes on. That's a dub. Overall, I improved in all my events, and I also went sub 20 seconds in the 50 free and the relay, for the first time ever during the season. Each competition after that, I was going best times, consistently hitting mid-19s in 50 free relays. So this year definitely looked pretty promising. A couple of months later, instead of going to the Minnesota Invitational, I went back to Spain to swim the Spanish Nationals and scored second in the 100 breaststroke with the best time. Given that I got really sick that week of the competition, I think that was definitely a win. But of course, God forbid, I actually have a normal season, and by the end of December, I got COVID for the second time. But unlike the first time, I really got sick this time, and I was out for a week and a half and lost about 10 pounds in the span of 3 days. After being out for a couple of weeks, I flew back to Berkeley for my last semester ever. Even though I had a pretty rough month, there was nothing I wanted more than to end my collegiate season on a high note, and my dream was to make that NCAA team. My confidence wavered the first few competitions of 2022 as I swam the slowest times I've been swimming for the past 3 years. In one of our competitions, actually, we put on our technical suits and raced with UCSD, or University of San Diego. I had programmed to swim the 50 and 100 breaststroke and the 100 free, but given how bad my 50 and 100 breaststroke, I actually went up to my head coach Dave and told him I didn't want to swim the 100 free. I ended up swimming the 100 free anyways because of my own pride, but it just goes to show in the mental state that I was. But as my head coach likes to say, we are warriors of the process. And I continued to work hard, and the results started to show. 2 weeks later, we raced against Stanford, and while we lost as a team, I swam personal in-season best times, and my confidence started to rise again. Finally, the 1st of March 2022, we flew to Federal Way, Washington, to compete in my second and my last Pac-12 championships. We just came off as a team from a loss, and as my last competition ever, my motivation was through the roof, and I really wanted to swim well. I may not have been in the best shape I was or ever been, and probably haven't fulfilled the trajectory that was planned out for me since freshman year, but I was ready to give it my all. The first day of the Pac-12 championships, I swam the 50 free as a time trial, and I went best time, 1968. I swam again the 50 free the next morning, but as an individual event, and I also went best time again, with a time of 1958. That afternoon, there was still one spot left on that 4x50 free relay that was still yet to be determined. Given that we had a few swimmers from Cal on that 50 free B final, the winner of that event would be able to take the spot on the relay, and I wanted that spot more than anything in the world. I swam later that night with the best time of 1943 and earned my spot on the relay, and I later went on to swim an 18.9 as an anchor leg to win my only Pac-12 title in a championship record fashion. The next day was 100 breaststroke, where after swimming by myself in the first heat, I qualified for the A final, my only A final ever in the championship meet, with a time of 52.7. I later added time that afternoon, but I was just glad I made an A final, and I can tick that box from the list of accomplishments that I wanted to achieve of my swimming career. And the next day, I swam a personal best in the 100 free. Nothing too fancy, but I was already exhausted from the previous week, and to be honest, I was out of energy already. I thought for sure I had made the NCAA team after swimming that relay and fulfilled my dream of going to Atlanta with the team. But it turns out we can only bring 18 swimmers, and I was the only one without an individual event. While pretty upset I couldn't go, I was happy to know that after 3 years of hard work, I definitely did end my collegiate season on a high note. And we later went on to win that competition and win a national championship, so that definitely was the cherry on top. 3 years of hard work, dedication, ups and downs, morning practices, many embarrassing moments, but also many celebrations wrapped up my 3 years of being on the Calman swimming team. I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming along with me ever since that first video I posted back in January 2020. And I don't know how many more videos I'm going to post on college athletics as I transition this channel and I move on into a new era of my life. But if you do want to stay updated, definitely follow me on Instagram. It's the best way for me to communicate with you guys, and a future video will require it. So definitely get a follow on Instagram, subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.